Welcome, ladies and gents, to The Witcher, The Curse of the Wolf. I really enjoyed this. I had a great time with this film. This is obviously, it's a Netflix anime film. And I was a little bit apprehensive about this. I didn't quite know what to expect. I'm not massively familiar with The Witcher in general anyway. But I had a really good time with this. I thought this was very, very good. Now, I'm not overly sure whether this is based on anything in particular or it is an adaptation of anything in particular, but it follows Vesemir, Deglin, and a whole group of other witches, basically having the sort of fear of humanity, pushed to its absolute limits. Monsters making monsters and monsters fighting monsters. And it also kind of deals, I guess, with the end of the sort of lucrative business side of things with respect to what the witches were able to accomplish previous to these events, and obviously previous to them, I guess you could say, being as good at their job of killing monsters. Now, I think I'm fairly right in saying that this is made by the same guys who made Castlevania, and it actually stars one of the actors, Theo James, who played Hector. And he plays Vesemir. And I thought to myself, I recognised this voice. And I didn't want to check until the end, because I didn't want to get kind of skewed whilst I was watching it. But he's such a fantastic actor. And I was really surprised to hear he's actually from Oxford, if I remember rightly, from my little research that I did. He was staggeringly good. He was absolutely staggeringly good. Now, the animation is basically what you'd expect. Like, I'm looking at some images now, outside of the things which which I've got on the screen here. The animation's great. I've very much enjoyed the animation from this studio. They just do good stuff. It's fluid. It looks nice. It does fall into the category of sort of like a Western anime, but I don't think that's terrible. I don't think that's bad at all. I'm looking at the other actors that sort of played in it. We've got Mary McDonnell, who played Lady Zupst, Lara Pulver, who played Tetra. All fairly recognisable names, actually, when you sort of get into it. They all seemed fairly recognisable, as you're sort of watching the sort of the anime unfold. You can hear these sort of these voices, and you go, "Oh yeah, no, I've heard that somewhere else." So in terms of the story, chugging along nicely, pacing was great. Like, it's an hour and a half long, and again, Castlevania studio. The gore is right up there. The gore is pretty top notch. Pretty top notch. I mean, it's an adult anime. There's no like sex or anything like that, and it's not like that. But there's a lot of blood and gore. And I really liked the expansion from my perspective, not being massively familiar with The Witcher. I really liked the expansion to the whole universe. Because, of course, this accompanies The Witcher series that Netflix did. And it's actually produced by the same individual, Lauren Hisrich, right? So she's the same individual who produced and I believe wrote on some of the the Netflix stuff for the original Witcher, and then obviously is involved in season 2 as well. Now, I think I don't know whether any of this is going to cross over, but there's going to be some fairly familiar settings moving forwards from what I can see anyway. It looks like some of the scenery in this is going to carry over into season 2 of The Witcher, i.e. where the Witcher's stronghold is, and some sort of elements of the mages who create them, and such forth. But as a story, it's really engaging. It follows Vesemir, the chap here. So it follows Vesemir in his quest to essentially become a Witcher. He chose to become a Witcher. He wasn't sold into it. He wasn't bargained with. He chose to do it because he was basically a slave. He was born into poverty. Now, I really enjoyed that element of it, and I actually really enjoyed the flashback sequence. It was done really, really well. So we're introduced to Vesemir. We're thrown very much right into the sort of deep end of this universe. There's lots of fighting and things like this, and then boom, we get a flashback scene as Vesemir basically remembers his life, and it's not cheesy in any way. It actually explains it really, really well. As flashbacks go, I really like that flashback. I thought it works. I thought it worked really, really well. Now, it also sets up things moving forwards, you know, certain characters return, and obviously there's an age difference, and all, well, in terms of an aesthetical age difference, and all of this. And it was really quite touching, actually. Enjoyed Deglan character. Thought he was an absolute beast. Good to see. There's just something so engaging about this studio when they work on these animes. They just do such a good job. Castlevania, this one, again, I'm fairly certain it's the same studio. It all looks about the same. But they are really, really, really good at it. They exceed. It's superb stuff. The animation's fantastic. More stuff like this. This is a good Western adaptation of sort of Japanese anime, I guess you could say. And I say that predominantly because of the eyes. But I think they've done a really good job here. The monsters were great. Seeing a little bit more about the monsters. Seeing a little bit more about the universe and certain monsters being made and crossbred and all this kind of stuff. But then also seeing a little bit more about the Witcher's backstory and how they are made. I thought that was very, very interesting. On a whole, really good story. And it also, like I said, does serve as some background to Geralt. Or Geralt. Because he's in it. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Not as the Geralt that we know, anyway. But he is in it. And I think that was quite interesting. And again, I might be wrong, but I do feel like it's going to be setting up some things for Season 2 of The Witcher. I really enjoyed it. Strong recommendation. I didn't even know this had actually released. I knew it was being made, but I didn't know it had actually been released. But yeah, watch it. The pacing's great. It's an hour and a half, but the pacing's fantastic, and it really does get right into it. More of this, Netflix. More of this. Less of Master of the Universe Revelations garbage. Because that's crap. This is solid stuff. You know, just do more of this. More of this. Please, 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 more of this. I would watch 10 of these movies. Like, happily. Happily. But this is a good tide me over for The Witcher, but then, of course, the Castlevania spin-off. So if you've seen it, let me know what you think. The voice acting was utterly superb. I will say this, though. The sound mixing was real bad at the start. I had to turn this up very loud and put subtitles on because the sound mixing of the voice of Vesemir, I could barely hear a fucking thing. It was absolutely atrocious. Like, I mean, and I seldom curse in these reviews. It was really bad. Like, I mean, it was really bad. I had to turn this up full blast and turn the treble up just to try and get some of those sort of sound frequencies. It just didn't work. It was real bad, so I turned subtitles on. Closed captions. I don't understand why, because the rest of it was fine. Just a really awkward sound mix at the start. But the voice acting was great. The voice cast was great. Very, very good. Very engaging. Very, very good. Strong recommendation from me. If you've seen it, let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you're new here, please do hit subscribe. Thanks so much, though. Take care.